Hello YouTube, as you can see I am in survival mode and I just wanted to let you know that I am surviving. It has been an adventurous week. I tell you, it is a test of my will. Let me ask you a question, YouTube. Now, if you are giving 120% and you're only yielding about a 20% result, tell me, what would you do? Would you give up? Would you throw your hands up? Or would you continue to grind? Yep, that's it, YouTube. Got to continue to grind. You got to continue to grind. You cannot give up. You have got to keep going. You got to make it. So, that's what I choose to do. I'm going right in. Okay, now, we're going to go through some concepts that I learned this week. And I want to share with you the progress I've had, the pitfalls I've had as well. So, the one thing I'm going to start with is I learned a couple of acronyms this week. JSON. That means JavaScript Object Notation. Okay? Good concept. The next one was CRUD, which stands for Create, Read, Update, and Delete. As you know, in coding, you have to create something, you read over it, you update it, and if it does not run the program, you delete it and start back over. So, excellent acronym, because that's exactly what you have to do with coding. So, on August 12th, last Monday, we started with concept of functions. Functions create and functions execute. They actually help to run the program. Different names of different functions. We have print prop. Print prop, what it does is it allows the program to print out your information. So you have to print it. So like sometimes we have to do what's called console log. That means that in order to test our code, we have to run it in our browser, either Firefox or Chrome. And once you run it through your HTML index, it'll let you know if it runs. Because if I print a program that says that I want to have a box pop up to ask you your age, that lets us know if it works. So that's one of the print properties that I was speaking of. Now, next thing we learned was arrays. Arrays are wonderful in the fact that they actually allow you to do a whole lot of data. Give you an example of an array. Now, an array has a function that's incorporated into it called a constructor. And what that constructor does is it takes a group of a class of the same type of you might want to take one concept and maybe three concepts and put it into one. So let's say, for instance, let me give you an instance of a dog. Okay, one of the examples. Okay, if you had a dog, that dog would be a certain breed, like it may be a bulldog. Age may be age 5, and the color may be brown. Okay, let's say you worked at the Humane Society, and your job was to try to have these dogs adopted. So you wouldn't want to go run to the back every time somebody came in and said, hey, I want a black dog, and I want it to be 2 years old. No, you have a database, and an array would recall that information, for you. Type that in. I am looking for. Guess what? It actually will loop through that data, and it could actually find that dog for you without you having to have someone to run to the back every time. How frustrating would that be? Now, one thing about an array, actually, it starts at 0. So let's say, let me give you an instance. If I say, hey, I want to choose the third person in the list, well, the second person in the list. And I say the list of the names is Demetria, myself, Delton, my husband, my sister, Noelle, my cousin, Lisa, say my brother, Melvin. Okay. So, and I say I want the second person. Well, automatically you would probably think that the second person will be Delton because he was number 2 in the original lineup. No. But with an array, actually, it will be 0 would be Demetria, 1 would be Delton, 3 would be Actually, no, two would be Noel, and then three would be Lisa. So actually, it would turn out the third person, which is Noel, would be number two, because that's the way an array works, and it's indexed that way. So, very interesting concept. Okay, there is another concept that we talked about. It's called switch case. Now, switch case, one of the things that I thought about that was maybe a calendar function, so that you can loop through days. Let me give you an example. So, if I needed to know how many days of the month had 31 days and how many had 30, so I can enter this into a switch case function. So it lets me know that January, March, May, July, August, October, December all have 31 days, and April, June, September, and November have 30 days. It actually can spit out this data for me without me having to go and look it up. Okay? Just something to make your life a little bit easier. That's what code does. Now, the next two concepts I really like were, we had a concept of an array. It was called a for each statement and a map statement. Example of that. Let's say you're anchorman, in the morning times, if you listen to the news at all, they tell you, oh, at 12 o'clock it's going to be 100 degrees, so you may not want to be out on the patio. If y'all listen to Channel 5, they'll tell you, no, you don't want to be on the patio at 12 o'clock. It's going to be 100 degrees. So how do you think he gets that data? He can actually tell you all times of the day what the temperature is going to be. He gets that from an array. Actually, they'll upload that data. So let's say that the anchorman or whomever's behind the programs want to say, I want to know how many times a day there's going to be over 50 degrees. So you can actually input that into an array and say, hey, I want you to run this data that you received, from the weather forecasting. And if I want to know how many times a day and at what time will the temperature be 50 degrees. So what a map statement would do, it would actually run all that data. And what map does, it stores the data and uses for later. Now the for each concept of an array, what it would do is it'll throw all the data out that it doesn't need. So if you told that computer you want everything that's under 50 degrees, you want everything that's over 50 degrees to be mentioned, then that program is going to throw out everything that's under 50 degrees. So this is actually done through code. So it looks through all this data and it gives you exactly what you need. So that's how the weatherman is actually able to give us our weather every day. So coding, again, is beautiful. Now, it's good to be able to go through the functions of code and, know some of the different options of it. But it's yet another thing to code this data. And that's where my issue has come in. I mean, actually translating or transmitting this data into codes to actually into the computer and have the computer to run, like the programs I was just telling you about. There's a lot of things you have to do. Now, we have been talking heavily about the curly braces, because in code you have to start and stop at a certain place or your code won't run. So we have these curly braces, we have semicolons, commas, brackets, all of that matters in code. So that's where my issue has been, actually transmitting this information over to code. And so what I said I was going to do, we have a lovely TA, teacher assistant named Autumn. She's actually going out to Code Crew out on YouTube, and actually all the coding that we do during the day, she actually will come and make a video about it. So now what I'm doing is I'm actually going into her videos, looking at the videos, seeing how she's coding, and I need to start practicing the code more so than the definitions. So that's where I am now with that. And put in more hours than I've been putting in. I think I'm putting in, staying up to about 12 every night, trying to, read and get the concepts. But I guess I'm going to have to do some more hours reading all the data I can about JavaScript. But one thing, it was funny, I asked my teacher, Ken, I said, Ken, I'm a regular. How long will it take to teach JavaScript? He was like, this one class will be 6 months. Like, 6 months, and we're doing it in 2 weeks. figure that. So it's something. Now we had a project due today, and it was over all the concepts that we went over throughout the whole week. Literally a 4-hour project, half a day. And I tell you, whew, it was something. We'll see how that goes. But I appreciate all my church members and family members that are saying prayers for me and that are encouraging. And I really appreciate all that you do and continue to do that. Because remember, I'm not doing this just for me. I'm also doing it for you. So you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and just stay positive throughout all your troubles and trials. Just know that it could be worse, and keep grinding. Thank you, YouTube. Have a great day.